I just looked on the website for the American Century Championship, and it says that the group that Marty Fish is, like his foursome, is Philip Bailey, Greg Cody, Chris Cody, and John Stugotz.
John Stugotz. Wow.
Billy, how are you feeling in general about the reports we are now getting out of Tahoe, where we're just staring at an empty screen that no one is helping us, no one is getting anybody, no one is contacting the show? I just imagine they're all in Aaron Rodgers' bosom, not working.
You were had. Now I kind of understand why when we had this meeting a couple weeks ago, you're like, I don't know that this is the best idea. You saw this coming. I think, oh, Tony's there.
I was told by somebody up there that it wasn't a good idea for us to go because that the access would be very limited, that we wouldn't be able to. They used to have a bunch of media members there, but somebody told me that the access would be limited. And of course, I believed that it wouldn't be limited, that they would help us during the show. But I didn't see how 3 hours earlier, while people were golfing, that we were going to be able to get people.
You're sitting atop a multimedia empire now, Dan Le Batard. We can't just singularly focus all of our attention during our recording session for the audio podcast when we've got all sorts of social media streams and video projects, and we really want to help develop over here. So this is a weekend-long project for our team over there. It is unfortunate, though, for when you're trying to do the most popular podcast in America.
But I'm just speaking for the audience on this one. I don't know what the audience expects, and I didn't want to overpromise. We almost went, our entire show almost went out there, but we know the show always suffers when we leave the comfort of this place.
I find it weird. We can't break ourselves out of our live programming. I still feel like I have to do something when I'm recording. Patience, I would say, because I think we're going to get a lot of great stuff from Tahoe, just not now when we kind of could use it.
I have an update on the Bagel Bro. Apparently he had a stroke.
Wow.
Yeah. It says here...
this is a T's and P's situation, yes?
You're crossing...
Oh, yes. Crossing my T's and underlining my
thoughts
P's.
and prayers. Like, it's kind of weird because my first initial thing was like, oh, that's sad. But should I, in 2021, say that it's sad because of how terrible he was? But it is sad. Yeah, I've formulated that opinion. He's sad. It's sad.
He suffered a debilitating stroke outside of Long Island Deli, his manager said.
Wait a second. This feels like fake news.
It does.
It's not. It's from the New York Post.
Well, it definitely feels like fake news now.
Just from that moment, he necessitated a manager. I mean, not to besmirch the man. Thoughts and prayers, but he needed a manager because he was yelling at someone at a deli.
You'd think he'd stay away from the delis. It hasn't gone great for him.
The irony is 3 weeks before the stroke, Morgan filmed an episode on Dr. Oz where he discussed the impact his anger issues have on his health.
Hey guys, Tony here from Tahoe. I just saw Patrick Mahomes walk by, and wow.
Whoa.
I'm just excited.
Okay, thank you.
So how about you go get him so we can talk on the show?
Well, the thing is, he had about 70 people around him taking him into the clubhouse, so I couldn't, penetrate the barrier. But I saw him walk by.
2 of them were Greg Cody and Stugotz.
Correct.
Okay, so it's good. We've got a live report. There goes Patrick Mahomes. Is what?
Oh my God, there's Kelce.
Get him.
Stugotz has promised for the umpteenth time that he's going to get Kelce.
We have sent an army. He's been saying that for a month. He's been planning Zoom meetings. He wants to get me with Kelce. He wants to do a whole relationship show with Kelce. Wants to do a dating show with Kelce.
The best thing about the Stugotz-Kelce relationship, and I'm betraying his trust, but I don't care right now, he makes it seem like Kelce's bothering him. Like, Kelce's constantly reaching out to him to do things. He's like, this Kelce just won't leave me out. We're doing a 24-hour marathon here. He just keeps texting me wanting to switch the time. He got his teeth pulled. What am I supposed to do? Just come on when you can come on. 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning. Leave me alone already.
It's classic Stugotz because he says he's developing all these other shows for Travis Kelce instead of putting him on the show that pays the bills.
It is so Stugotz because what he's trying to do is further the relationship with Kelce so that he can do a show with Kelce and not have to work around here anymore. That he's always looking for what it is his next angle is. And now it's, can I make it so that my life is always golfing in Tahoe with Travis Kelce?
Yeah, I was going to say, are we in the end game now for Stugotz? Because he rode this wave quite well. Like He's playing with Marty Fish and Philip Bailey of Earth, Wind, and Fire, and he's playing ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce out in Lake Tahoe, and we're just here lamenting the fact that he's doing that. Dude won.
Stugotz has collected the last of the Infinity Stones. He's about to snap his fingers and just be gone.
Tony's wearing a Masters shirt. Is that like poor form to wear a shirt of another tournament at a golf tournament?
Yeah.
No, that's like a brag.
No.
Like, Tony's the man right now.
Is it not like showing up to like a Giants versus Cowboys game wearing like a Niners jersey?
Yeah.
You're just a random,
No.
I like this
Golf
sport
culture, Golf culture is not like basketball culture. Golf culture is you wear the polo of the nicest course you've played to the next nicest course you've played to show that you fit in with all the other golfers that have played that nice course. Even though, Tony, I assume you haven't played Augusta.
No, I haven't.
It's not easy to get Augusta merch, so you're kind of like sending the signal out there like, I know someone who went to Augusta.
We were also discussing this yesterday. An unnamed former baseball player showed up to the big event, the gathering of the players wearing his World Series ring. And I figured in a room of athletic achievement, I thought that was fairly
Who
lame.
are we protecting right now? Name names. Who are we protecting?
It was Tim Wakefield.
Yeah, it was Tim Wakefield. Knuckleballer.
Oh, wow.
Is there any need to be protecting Tim Wakefield?
There was a code.
Yeah.
Out here on the lake, Dan,
In that room, it stays there,
Yeah, no, I really get everything that happens in this room stays in this room. I had a recorder with me, like ready to grab stuff, and I was like, I'm not going to be using this because I think this is like a safe space for celebrities.
Let me tell you, Justin Timberlake, I mean, wow. The guy can command a room.
Yeah.
Boo.
He was thrilled by the magician that was there. There was
my
a
God.
magician there, guys.
I think this is the magician that was the subject of controversy on Stupidity, I believe.
Yeah.
Controversy.
Oh, my God.
God damn it.
Chris Wittyingham is a fancy lad.
That magician is like the most popular guy there. Him and Brian Baumgartner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he got a laugh from Aaron Rodgers, Kevin from The Office. It was great. He made a joke about because there was like the tiers of the celebrities, and he like went from tier 5 to tier 4, and Aaron Rodgers shouts, "Good one, Brian!" from the back of the room. So they're clearly buddy, those two.
Stand-up going on with this room?
Oh no, there
was a
definitely
mixer
was. I'm telling you, Rodgers and Timberlake back of the room, classic school jokesters.
Yeah, they're
classic high school jokesters in the class clowns even.
Yeah.
Jessica, if somehow by some crazy finagling, two Menches cutting it up, Stugotz lands Justin Timberlake, you're going to then be obligated to boo him on this show. You realize that, right?
Oh, boy.
She's going to do the thing she did on Tuesday, which is after he's gone, say, why didn't you ask this, or why didn't you point this out?
How come nobody else booed Justin Timberlake?
Retroactive boo.
That's a deep cut of me, because I don't think that made the cut on the podcast on Tuesday.
It should have made the cut. For those of you who are listening on Tuesday, we deserve every ounce of criticism coming our way. From Tony Khan being in here, and as someone who is helping run the Jaguars, he just said that Urban Meyer changed his life and was effusive about what a wonderful person Urban Meyer is, and we didn't ask any difficult questions. We didn't ask any follow-ups. We let all of that slide, and Jessica was right to call us out afterward and say, you guys weren't going to ask anything, and we were right to call Jessica out afterward because she didn't ask anything either.
All I'm saying is... sometimes, you got to do a little test. See if anyone else is going to do it. And then if no one does it, you're like, all right, next time I got to do it. I was testing all of you. And you all failed.
I almost pulled like the meanest joke on Jessica, because as she was going on this rant that she was just testing to see if any of us would have the presence of mind to ask the difficult questions, I actually got a text from Tony Khan saying that he forgot his bag and it was in the studio. So I was going to walk Tony Khan in as Jess was just calling us out, but I decided against it because it would have been a really bad look for us all together, and it would need some setup.
You would have been cornering him, but I wouldn't have been afraid to ask him a fair question. He's a public
Neither was
figure.
I. By the way, you're being far too harsh. Nobody else here had the courage to ask about the barbed wire death match that went wrong. I did. You're welcome.
That's a good point.
By the way, what rich people stuff was that you just decide I'm not paying someone $100,000? That seemed crazy to me, that you're just like, you know what? I'm not going to pay you $100,000.
Well, he didn't do the job properly.
Right.
Probably. No.
Try going to a restaurant and saying, I'm dissatisfied with this meal. I'm not going to pay you $37. That would never work for me. $100,000, you just say, I'm not going to pay you. And it's like, okay.
The better part than that was that he's lamenting using professionals, and it says never again. Never again.
Never again. I mean, it did bring a fair amount of embarrassment towards him. Like he said, like those guys were bleeding heavily. And they went through legit barbed wire. And it was supposed to be the cool culmination of a lot of physical sacrifice, and instead a duck fart.
Chris Witty take? That was good for them. That was good for them. We would not have been talking about their death firework match, whatever it's called. How did that not happen?
Just do it.
Death firework match. I love, and Mike, it's a fair point. We will be providing content from Tahoe that will be rich and illustrious and will be worth our time in Tahoe. But I do love that all we've gotten so far from Tahoe is Alfonso Ribeiro. Hey, there's Patrick Mahomes.
And betraying the trust of Tim Wakefield.
Oh, Kevin Nealon just missed a bunny.
Kevin Nealon.
Just missed a bunny.
Brett Baer of Fox News is wearing pants with
so is Jerry Rice.
Four-leaf clovers on them.
So, well, not four-leaf clover, but Jerry Rice is in a full pant and like warm-up getup. I feel like it's hot for that. It's really hot out here, guys.
I really could have moved this table like 10 feet over. It would have been in the shade.
Yeah.
That was a dumb idea.
Wait, is that spot taken now, or what's going on?
No. There's nobody here.
By ourselves.
So why don't you guys just move?
Over there would have been nice. Because we'll pick up in a second.
Yeah, we're gonna take off.
Oh,
all right, Stugotz is here.
Oh, it's in the ball well in the rain. Bad sign.
So what's the status on Kelce, Stugotz?
Kelce is eating breakfast in the tent right across from us, and said he would come on before his 8:45 tea time.
That's in 35 minutes.
Today?
Well, we have to get him before 11:30. So.
Someone should sit by the area over there since I laid the groundwork and say, "Hey, Stu is up here." Yes.
I'll go be the handler.
Making this, he's not coming on today.
It's a lie.
Also, breakfast has a K in it.
that drove me crazy.
Breakfast.
Well. You know that the word breakfast has the letter K in it.
It does.
Breathing fast. Yeah.
I'm watching ESPN 2 right now, which I believe is First Take, and Patrick Mahomes is on live from Tahoe.
So somebody's doing a good job of booking.
Yeah.
He must be right behind us, actually, I think, because that's where the studios are, inside the clubhouse.
Who?
Mahomes. I saw him walk by.
I was just hitting balls next to Mahomes. It was very exciting. I was 5 feet away from the guy. Bad sign, Dad. I'm hitting the ball well on the range. Bad sign. That means I'm going to go out and choke.
Did you say anything to Mahomes, or you were just kind of hitting the balls next to him?
I didn't say anything to Mahomes. I was talking with Kelce for a bit and his agent.
How's he doing?
Kelce's doing fine. He said he had a great evening last night. I said it was nice to see at the player invite party, which he didn't show up to. He laughed. Yeah. He said, I haven't been there in 7 years. So, Kelce's got like a little house on the lake here with Mahomes, and they're doing what you would imagine Kelce and Mahomes would be doing on a lake in Lake Tahoe.
The last tournament, they were slamming beers the entire time. And not just for the fun. And you're doing the fun little pro-am portion, which is more of a party than the actual tournament. But like during the actual tournament, they did not perform well, and NBC kept showing them because of the hijinks that would ensue between those two.
It's going to be fun. I think they have the same thing planned for this weekend. He said he needed to get a good base because he's going to drink a lot of beer, so that's why he had to go eat something before the round kicked off. So
I imagine they have fun at a lake, right? Like they go out and they wakeboard and they go tubing and stuff like that. Because you said they do what you imagine they'd be doing. That's what I imagine they'd be doing.
I don't think there's much wakeboarding on the lake, Billy.
No, I think Billy's right. I see them tubing, water skiing, wakeboarding.
What's that big blob thing that someone lays on one end and then someone else jumps on the other end and then it shoots you out into space?
The blob,
Yeah,
blob.
One of those.
Yeah. I think they embrace the full lake style, lake lifestyle.
What are the rules for your tournament? You're not playing a full 18, are you?
No, we're playing a full 18.
You're playing a full 18, so you're taking this very seriously. It's going to take you 4 hours to get through this course?
Probably longer.
Yeah, it could be longer because I think it's Chris, is it best ball? Is that the deal? What we're doing here, it's going to be Marty, because Marty, Chris is really, really good at golf, but Marty Fish is the champion here, and he's a scratch golfer. So Marty and Greg are going to be on one team, and me and Chris will be on the other team. I have no idea what we're going to do with the lead singer of Earth, Wind, and Fire, but we'll figure it out along the way.
For those that don't know, Marty Fish did win the actual tournament, not just the Pro-Am portion, last year, and Jack Nicklaus called Marty Fish the greatest amateur golfer he's ever seen.
Wow. I think Romo is going to have something to say about that. Romo is taking this thing very, very serious.
And Romo pretended to be injured last season as Marty Fish wiped the floor with Tony Romo last year. So we'll see if he's recovered.
We'll see. Listen, he cannot get with the amount of calisthenics he's been doing on the driving range, it would be impossible for Romo to get her. I mean, the guy, all he does, every time I see him, he's stretching. He's not swinging a club. He's just stretching. All right, there's Kelce. Let's see if Wittyingham can lure him over.
I see Witty next to him. Yeah, we got a bird's eye view of what's going on here. There's a lot of people asking for autographs and pictures, and I see Witty about 10 feet away from Kelce, kind of like honing in.
All right. Should I go help Wittyingham or what?
Yeah, use a relationship that you've built over the last few months.
I already did, Mike. I did. So I wanted to come up here and talk to you guys before we tee off. But let me go help Wittyingham.
Yeah,
all right, hold on.
Billy, do you have a prediction?
I laid the groundwork for him. I mean, someone pull him over here.
Billy, Stugotz always wins. You know that Stugotz always wins. However it is that we arrive, wherever it is that we arrive, it's always with Stugotz winning. So are you willing to publicly doubt that Stugotz, after a month of saying he's going to get us Travis Kelce, a month, we're still waiting, right? Because Stugotz, as we were doing all our planning for that 24-hour event, tried to drop Kelce on us in the middle of one of the other interviews that had been planned. Do you believe, I mean, is it even going to be worth it for him to land Kelce at this point?
I believe that he has a relationship with Travis Kelce, which is hard to believe, but I only believe it because during that 24-hour event, he kept showing me texts and emails and then was like secretly sending me his email and his contact info to try to book him anyways behind everybody's back to just appear at like 8 in the morning the next day. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea. Let me like wait off until I get final confirmation on this before I'm kind of like having him drop in the middle of, you know, whatever it was, like Cinephile or whatever was going on at the time. Like, I don't think that's going to work out, Stugotz. And then he had me cancel at the last minute. So I think that there may be a relationship there. I don't know that we're going to get him now, though.
So Mike had a calendar, like, with back-to-back. It was the most insane calendar I've ever seen in my life. All the guests coming on Freedom. And Stugotz wanted Billy to go behind everyone's back and just shove Travis Kelce in there. And none of us would notice and be like, oh, thanks, Stugotz.
Kelce update, guys. Stu just walked by him and a crowd of like 10 people walked through the middle of everybody trying to ask for pictures and autograph, kind of gave him a tap on the chest and is standing behind him right now, just kind of waiting.
Okay.
So, right.
We're close.
Right.
So I went back to the calendar because I remember now exactly where it was that he wanted me to have him come on. And it was 10 minutes after John Amichi's segment was going to start. He's like, just have Amici and Kelce on together. They'll love it. They'll love each other, buddy. I'm like, I don't know, man.
These things had been planned.
Why is it so bad if he talks to Dan Patrick at the same time as us? It's not a big deal.
Mike's got post-traumatic stress disorder right now. I see it on his face. All that, the planning for that went into that month. My favorite part was telling everybody the day before in the meeting, guys, if you don't do something about a backup plan for Stupidity, he will simply farm it out and it'll just be someone yammering. And then I find out that it was yammering Adnan illegally from a car carrying Stupidity because he always wins no matter what.
In you speaking right now, I've lost sensation of touch in my finger.
It was voted the best hour on the poll.
My hands are cold. All the blood is fleeing my hands. I swear to God.
Guys, another update. Kelce is walking over right now. Stu, Witty are kind of front and back on him and guiding him over here. So he might be here in about 2 minutes unless he makes a detour.
He's going to win. He always wins, Billy.
He just went to get coffee.
We always lose, and Stugotz always wins. Now Travis Kelce is going to show up here, and I'm just going to.
It's going to be him talking to Renee Montgomery. Oh God, it's
guys, he's big, all over again. Bigger than I thought. Wow.
Yeah, he's annoying.
Yeah, tight end. Tight ends are large. Tony, tight end. It's a hell of a take by you.
Yes,
all right, guys,
I think he had more receiving yards than anyone in the league. Why? Because you can't guard him because he's enormous. That is correct.
He's a matchup problem.
He simply can't. Tony's expertise there is wonderful. Wow, Travis Kelce. He's big.
There's a handshake, and Travis Kelce is getting into position, and I can confirm Tony's report.
Guys, remember he has a brother because I forgot that last time.
That is the
right.
kind of expertise you can only get from this show. Tony, who is not small. He is not a small. Is Tony the biggest guy?
I think Tony's the tallest guy in our crew, yeah.
And he has just been amazed that it is impossible to cover Travis Kelce. Look at Stugotz, a radiant and beaming. Go ahead, Stugotz. You take it from here.
Very excited. He loves the show. He's very excited to see everyone back in Miami. He's sitting next to me now, obviously.
What show am I on?
But Batard, he's excited to talk to you, man. Come on. He came up here for you. He's got to tee you off in 15 minutes.
What's up, big guy?
You're the big guy. Tony just said he was marveling at how physically large you are. Do you get a lot of that? Because I'd assume that people would understand that if you were leading the league in receiving and impossible to guard, that it's probably because on top of being athletic, you're pretty goddamn big.
I was definitely given some real good traits by Mama Kels. Mama Kels, she's a stud. She's just an angel, and she gave me some great, God-given talents. One of them being 6'5", 260. But other than that, man, I just get that much. To be honest, I get the old as you do on TV more. Get the hey, you're a really big dude. Which kind of, it kind of hits you right there in the kidney. It's like, I guess I'm just a little.
I got to be honest. I thought you'd be bigger when I first met you.
See, there it goes. There it goes.
Are you surprised that Alfonso Ribeiro
Kelce,
is?
Don't punch me. Do not punch me.
Are you surprised that Alfonso Ribeiro is so small? Have you gotten a chance to meet him while you've been out there?
I did not. I thought he was actually taller than what I imagined. I feel like everybody in the TV land is actually kind of like. Shout out to everybody in TV land, but I think everybody in TV land is kind of short. I mean, that's how everybody I've come across has always been like a little bit shorter. I'm like, oh wow, you're a tiny person. Fonzo was not. He was. I mean, watching him all the time on Fresh Prince. I mean, he's just as tall as he was on the show.
Travis, are you worried at all that you're going to be golfing around like these amateur golfers like Stugotz and Greg Cody, and they might accidentally hit you with a ball while you're on a different hole and like injure you or something?
Not until now, I guess. What? I don't. Why would I want to think about that? Hopefully, Stu's out here putting it in the fairway, man. Keep it away from me, dude.
No, I will. It's Greg you got to be worried about.
All right, fair game. Fair game. I feel like everybody's got to be watched out for my ball off the tee because it is not consistent. And it can come out at a really low trajectory, and that's where it gets real dangerous.
So Billy, one of our producers, was wondering if you and Mahomes embrace the full lake lifestyle. Like, is it water skiing? Is it like, what do you guys do?
It's everything, man. This water is ice cold, too. I mean, fresh off the mountain. I mean, it is like a cold tub when you jump in that thing. But I am on it every day. Can't get me off of it, man. It's beautiful. Clearest water I've ever seen in the at least a lake. That's for sure.
Is there anyone you're looking forward to hanging out with out there in the group of the people? Who's the most fun?
I feel like every single person here. I mean, half of the guys are guys that I idled growing up, and guys that I love watching play. I mean, heck, and then on top of that, you got guys like Justin Timberlake and, like you said, Alfonso, and it's such a cool event to be around everybody and to really just get to know everybody, because you can get to see everybody from such a distance. But yeah.
Timberlake was holding court last night at the players' invite meeting. He was hammered and he was holding court. He was singing YMCA, and so I'm wondering, no, he wasn't. He was telling jokes. Is Timberlake like this every year?
I feel like he is, man. He's definitely got the biggest personality here, and he's not afraid to show it, man. That's why you love him. And I was upset. I think everybody was kind of bummed he didn't make it last year, and I think we're all just fired up that we get to be around him and see him play some golf. I think I'm actually paired with him for the first round. Me, him, and Mahomes.
Yeah, you are.
So I'm gonna have some fun.
Are you at all afraid at how many confidences Stugotz is going to betray here at every turn by revealing, for example, that Justin Timberlake was hammered last night?
No. I'm pretty sure that story was going to get out whether Stu was going to say it or not. And there's probably going to be a few more things that get out. Hopefully none bad. We'll try and keep it PG for everybody.
You don't have to do that. Who is the fun one in the group, though? Who is every year? There's a reason that this lures. You're the fun one in the group, are you not?
I'll take that. I like to have some fun. You know me. Get out here, not really hit anything good. Just come out and have a good time.
Do you have any advice for the audience on general day drinking?
Make sure you chug a water in between. You know, the sun, it feels like it's a little closer here because of the altitude, right? So you just gotta make sure you hydrate.
For every day I have a water.
Ladies and gentlemen. Stay hydrated.
Travis, how many Coors Lights last year?
For you and for Patrick.
You can't count that. It was funny. Pat actually last year, he came out his first year real serious about it. He wanted to win the tournament. I'm like, dude, there's guys out here that are playing every single day. I'm not sure if you got a chance, but he was taking it real serious. Didn't have a drink on like the front nine. And I was just like, hey, why don't you just chug a few? Just have a few, loosen up a little bit, have some fun. And now you're throwing acorns at me, having a blast, dropping birdie putts. So I think that's the juice right there. You get some beverages in your system, makes everything a little bit smoother.
Relaxes everything. Yeah.
He's a little jealous that you get to be a more authentic version of yourself in public, right? Just because the quarterback position has to be so careful about making.
That's exactly why I'm not a quarterback. I was a quarterback at one point in time. I was a quarterback, and I realized, wow, this is a lot of pressure to be, straight and narrow. Got to do things the right way. You can't really just cut it loose like that all the time, and that's why I'm in the tight end room. Outside of me not being able to throw the ball.
They're a little afraid of you, though, aren't they? Chiefs management is a little afraid of just you having too much personality. They can't argue with the production, though.
I think they've definitely opened up to a lot of things. I think early on in my career, I was probably a little too wild. Had to reel it back a little bit, figure out my lane, and I had to grow up a little bit. But with that, I appreciate the Chiefs for just hanging with me, giving me an opportunity every year to play some football for them. But without a doubt, I think it's a I don't want to say it's a small market because I love Kansas City fans. It's awesome. We got a huge fan base, but it's definitely a smaller city, so it's not that much activity, not that much going on. So a big personality, it might shock the city. It might give something, give some different. I don't know. Give some different. I don't know.
You really petered out.
That makes sense. You get what I'm trying to say? I listen, Dan doesn't, but I did. Trust
Dan,
me.
I had about 50 Bud Lights yesterday.
Okay, fair enough.
Only thing I've had this morning is coffee, so I'm a little jittery. Mine's working, but it's not really going anywhere.
Fair enough. So I probably shouldn't ask you about that small city fan base booing Unity at the start of last season. That's something.
I'll tell you what. It's definitely been a process. It's definitely been a process that I've enjoyed, and I'm sure Kansas City will say the same.
Travis, I'm curious. You did a show with John C. Reilly called Moonbase 8 on Showtime. How hard did you have to convince the Chiefs to let you do that show?
I was so delighted to see you on it. It was so random to see you on it. How did that happen?
It was the most random. They asked me on a Friday, and I was there on Tuesday. I was literally there the next, and it was like they gave me a few lines. I was only in one episode, and I mean, John C. Reilly, the gang, Fred Emerson, everybody involved made it so easy on me. I felt like a jamoke out there, man. Those guys are so good at what they're doing. I mean, so good. And John C. is just, every single line is just, it's new, it's refreshing, but it's all on the same like script. It was definitely one of the coolest experiences I've ever gone through. The Chiefs really weren't too pressed about that. Really, the only one they were upset about was the TV show I had, Catching Kelce, which I kind of regret doing a little bit. But we all have our journey in life, and we live when we learn, right?
I didn't realize you regretted it. I thought, what is it?
I didn't think you had regret, Kelce.
I really don't, but when you put something out there, your dad can't even watch. It's a little, uncomfortable.
Oh man.
Well, thank you for making the time for us. We appreciate that you are your authentic self. In that sport, it can be difficult.
I appreciate that, man. I'll go out here and just be myself and have some beverages.
Yes. See you later.
Thank you, man. I love that I'm sitting here getting Kelce on the show, and Chris Cody is putting right next to Steph Curry. It's unbelievable. I mean, Jesus, what a world! Cody's and Steph Curry, and I'm out here working, man.
He's also bigger than you think he is. Steph Curry, a little bit.
Yes, he is a lot bigger.
Steve,
and so is Chris Cody.
Hold on, fatter.
Yeah, that's what I was.
That was the joke. Yeah.
The joke that was.
Haven't talked nearly enough basketball here. Was there anything interesting? Renee Montgomery going to be in with us here for a little while. Was there anything interesting to you from game one? I mean, her team, she's got to be heartbroken because Atlanta made a deep run and we're right there. And then Giannis, that's the perfect injury that you need. And so she's got to be deeply wounded by that. But from game one, you did what with the game one result? I mean,
well, I think the biggest thing for me was the Bucks came out switching in the first half, and they were down, but it was a game, and they went into the coach's office, and the adjustment they came up with was, let's play drop coverage against Chris Paul and Devin Booker. And it just blew my mind that they could sit in the coach's office for 10, 15 minutes, and the best idea they had was to run a defense that basically plays to Chris Paul and Devin Booker's strength, and that's where the game was lost right there in the third quarter where the Suns blew it open. And so my question for Renee is, have you ever had a coach come with an adjustment or a strategy that all y'all looked at each other and said, this is dumb?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's just certain times, like, there's the analytics. And so we all know the analytics, the mid-range game in the NBA is just not high on the analytics chart. But we see Chris Paul is like making a killing there. And so it looks like there's this battle between analytics and we have this player that goes around the analytics. If we're being honest, Devin Booker, I think he prefers that mid-range going all the way to the basket game as opposed to three-pointer anyway, too. So I think the Bucks are playing right into their hands. As far as your question, though, oh, man, players, we know other players, like coaches, they can coach against them. But if you played against the player multiple times, you start to know their tendencies. So if you hear a coach say, yeah, let's give up the three to her, and it's a player that you know is a sneaky three-point shooter, you don't want to do that? Yeah, I've been there. You had to grow into a leadership role, though, on your teams as a point guard through coaching in college. So do you speak up? If your coach is doing something asinine at halftime, do you say anything? No, you just follow the game plan and let them. The worst thing a player can do is not follow the game plan, because then the coach can't see if it's right or wrong. So if you follow the game plan to a T and then they see we're still getting mocked with this game plan, now you got to change it, coach. But if you start making little minor adjustments and they're like, well, we can't see if it works or not, they're not going to change it. So I always, if you don't think it's right, you need to follow it to the T exactly to where you could have done nothing different. And they can see that it's not a good idea.
They stole your hope. The Hawks stole your hope. It was right there. And then the mutant season, ends up fouling up the punctuation because a whole bunch of guys end up getting hurt. And I don't even know what version of that was of Trey was that at the end.
I mean, go ahead. I mean, because I don't know. It wasn't the normal Trey. As we know, it wasn't the Trey that can beat anybody easily. It wasn't the same mobility, smoothness, but yeah, what version was it? You let me know.
Yeah, it was a version that couldn't move. He couldn't get by anybody. He had one step back where he was open and he didn't shoot it because he just didn't feel comfortable, I guess. He didn't feel right. And that's the shame of it, is if he doesn't step on Sean Wright's foot, the referee, we're talking about Suns Hawks in the finals.
Don't say it. Don't say it. It makes me sick. Don't say it.
I'm telling you, me and Zach Harper were having this conversation with somebody, and they said, well, the Bucks have made adjustments this year. And I said, what are the adjustments? Having the player on the other team get hurt? Because that's basically the adjustments they've done is, well, Harden and Kyrie got hurt, and then Trae Young gets hurt.
But Phoenix has had a bunch of people hurt against them, too.
Man, but they adjust.
That tells you how good Phoenix is. I mean, honestly, like most teams, if you get hurt and it's your key players, unless you have other superstars, look at Devin Booker. He emerged as the ultimate superstar because when Chris Paul got hurt, we had to see what Devin Booker could do. And so it's just tough because we're just like every other team. I'm still sad about it because I agree that if we had not even a healthy roster, because we haven't had one all year, but if we had a healthy Trae Young, not that injury, I do think that we could be in the finals, but that's every team story. Look, Brooklyn would be in the finals maybe if they didn't have injuries. So it's hard when it's you, but I know that this has happened to everyone. But again, it's just hard. I see Juju said lukewarm Trae. Yeah, we didn't have ice Trae to game. We had lukewarm Trae, and it was unfortunate because he was frustrated too. He was frustrated. You could see.
Aesthetically, you would have preferred to watch Atlanta Phoenix, no? Because it would have just been so guard dominant.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I look at Milwaukee, and they can be fun, and they can play fun. But it's frustrating. I don't know if it's frustrating for fans. Renee, I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. When it's frustrating to see somebody have a gifted roster like that, and for that roster to be used the way they're used. And you're like, what are we doing here? Where everyone's watching Giannis. Even game one, he's coming off a knee injury, and you'd think they'd ease him in. And like, no. We're going to force feed it to him, and everyone else is going to stand around. And you got Chris Middleton waiting until maybe the end of the third quarter when they're down 20 to finally start getting involved offensively. I watch the Bucks and I get angry because I'm just thinking to myself, why do you do this to yourself?
Well, the answer to a why could be you have a 2-time MVP, and this is what blows my mind about, Giannis being a 2-time MVP. And even in our series versus the Hawks, there was a lot of talk about like how Chris Middleton is the finisher. And on any other circumstance, on any other team, do you think an MVP would have somebody else be the finisher on their team? It's just not a likely thing, but it's happening here with the Bucks, and so now they're still trying to lean on their MVP. It's difficult in the playoffs. People try to take away your strengths and make you only play to your weaknesses, and that's what you're seeing now.
Absolutely. I don't. My rebuttal to you though is Shaq and Kobe. That would be the example of the MVP, and someone else was the finisher, and that's what I've always said about the Bucks. Not saying that Giannis is Shaq, and not saying that Chris Middleton is Kobe, but that's the relationship on court that they should have. When healthy, Giannis should be carrying this team. And then if it's a close game at the end, the ball should be in Middleton's hands and let Giannis play off of that. My thing is, he's not even Giannis anymore, albeit it's amazing that he played, but still, we know he was a shadow of himself. I thought Middleton and Holiday would come out and be more aggressive to start that game and let Giannis find himself. And instead, they just pretended like, no, it's fine, he's got it. And that's the stuff that always frustrates me when I watch the Bucks. It's like they lean on stuff and they don't adjust or switch no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, just Shaq and Kobe. I don't think we could even with Chris Middleton and Giannis.
No,
it's like
I'm not comparing them as talents. I know what you're saying,
but those are two. Shaq is, even if I don't even know, Shaq is an MVP caliber player. So is Kobe. So, yeah, you toss up the coin. It's like when you have Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. Yeah, flip the coin. And any one of them can finish the game. But when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton, one of them is a 2-time MVP and one is not. So from the coaching staff perspective, you got to, they're probably going to die with their champion in a sense of you got to, at the end of the day, this is your 2-time MVP. I agree. Chris Middleton has to have the ball because if you foul Giannis at the end of the game, what's going to happen? We don't know. We're just going to hear a lot of counting. We do know that. It's scary because, how can you have an MVP that you can't put the ball in their hands at the end of the game? This is unheard of. That's unheard of.
I think for me is I don't mind him getting fouled. I mind that their offense is to give him the ball from 23 feet out, and he's got to find his way to the place where he is effective.
You don't mind him getting fouled with the game on the line at the end of the game? But would let him get fouled?
But how many times have we reached that point? People act like they're losing these games at the end because he missed a free throw at the end, but the reality is no.
The Bucks aren't allowing it. You've heard them say, he said the day Chris Middleton retires is going to be the worst day of his career. That is what he said because we haven't seen it happen. They don't allow it to happen. I think that we would have found him way more in the end if the ball was in his hands. But at the end of our series, it was all Chris Middleton. I mean, he was on an island. He was shooting threes, pull-ups. You mean to tell me, I want to hear this, you would have let Giannis get the ball down the stretch every possession and just let people hack him? You wouldn't be concerned about that?
I wouldn't be concerned about it because ultimately what happens is you get the other team in foul trouble. Every touch foul 90 feet from the basket is 2 free throws for whoever gets fouled. The biggest thing for me is, though, they haven't typically done what you're talking about. They did it now in the Atlanta series, but during the year, we had the game against Phoenix in the middle of the year where
that's regular season. Nobody's pulling out. That's what I said. The playoffs is different. You lock in, you hone in. I just can't believe you. Good for you for trusting your MVP. I ain't doing that. I would not put the ball in Giannis's hands down the stretch. Are you kidding me?
No, but see, here's the difference. I wouldn't put the ball in his hands 23 feet from the basket. But if I'm getting him on the catch right at the front of the rim, I'll take my chances with a foul there.
That's a layup. What are you talking about? Of course you'll give him a layup.
Renee, that's my point. They give him the ball from the 3-point line and he's trying to attack, we know he can't shoot. We know he can't make free throws. It's not a good situation for him to have the ball. But if I'm treating him like a center, meaning he's on the catch, closer to the rim, on the blocks, then I'm more comfortable with that. But I'm not comfortable giving it to him and say, all right, let's clear out for him. I wouldn't do that, but I wouldn't do that for Shaq either. I wouldn't give the ball to Shaq.
You can't, of course, if you can give any player the ball right in front of the rim, I don't care who they are, you give it to them, they can score. We're talking about an MVP here. We shouldn't have to give him the ball in such a tight parameter so that he
But we did for Shaq. We did that for Shaq.
But Shaq is a traditional center that we don't even really have anymore.
That's my point, is that Giannis is more like a traditional center.
We're talking about an MVP. Usually MVPs don't have these glaring weaknesses to where you have to give them some type of, okay, we can give it here, not 23 feet. We can't spread out. We can't let him go one-on-one. That's usually what you do at the end of the game. Think about how series are won. Damian Lillard saying bye. You give the ball to your best player on an island and you tell them get to your spot and go to work. But we have a player that you can't put on an island. You have to put them in the thick of things, in the paint. And that's the literal problem. That's the problem.
And that's why Chris Middleton has to have the ball in his hand.
Yeah. Give Chris Middleton the bag, man. He got to get a real bag.
He got the bag. Did you see his last contract? He's taken care of. Trust me.
Yeah.
Renee, were you surprised to hear Giannis put his voice on all of that you just mentioned? It'll be the saddest day I retire when Middleton is gone. He's our closer. If he wants the ball at the end, I got to give him the ball. I trust him the most. You were surprised to hear all of that?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, it's something like we all knew it. But when your superstar says it, I was even shocked, when he was talking about Kevin Durant. And I believe Giannis won Defensive Player of the Year at a certain point. And so when one of the Defensive Player of the Year is talking about a player that's unstoppable and how great he is, that shocks me. I think that's new because I think I grew up in the old school sports thing where I ain't saying it even if it's true. I don't care. I'm not saying it out loud. We might talk about it in the locker room. I might say it in a private conversation, but there's no way I'm going in front of the national media news and saying some of those things. Like I said, I think I grew up raised by old school people where, you just don't do it. Even if it's true, you're not going to hear it come out of my mouth if it's true. I'm sorry, especially after we lost. No way.
That's what we like to call the Patrick Beverly.
No, that's a little bit too far. No, there's an in-between. Okay, we're on two extremes now, Patrick Beverly and Giannis. And Giannis, he's a good guy, and you could just hear it in his press conference. But I'm going to tell you right now, every time when we lost in the NCAA tournament, I don't care what the other team did. It's about us, what we could have changed, and I'm out. And I'm out on the interview.
I would love to know if you experienced this as a former athlete, extending respect to anybody in basketball who's a starter and good and top 1% of the top 1% of the world at playing basketball. If it is extra crushing for Renee to have her season extinguished specifically by Brooke Lopez.
Oh my God! I would say, it's Chris Middleton and Brooke Lopez. Again, it's Trey stepped on a ref's foot. I know everybody got hurt, but I just think they couldn't do anything with Trey the game before, and they wasn't going to do anything with him if he was healthy. But it's difficult. Brooke Lopez is the leading scorer, right, of an organization. I think is it the Nets? So. Got to give the man his roses, but I can't admit it. I told you I have a problem. I can't do it.
So, Renee, let me ask you, because you brought up Trey and what a great game he had the game before. And a lot of it was, again, the Bucks playing this drop coverage. He's coming off the screen, and Brooke Lopez is standing under the basket. Yeah. I don't know why. When's the time where a team defended you in a disrespectful way, and how did you let them know, this is not the strategy today?
Oh, man, let me tell you, when I was playing on Minnesota, we had some gunners, some killers. Our starters were Maya Moore, Simone Augustus, Sylvia Fowles, Lindsay Whalen, and Rebecca Brunson. So by the time we came in, I was the backup point guard. By the time we came in, they were probably already exhausted. They probably were already playing hedge tight defense on Maya Moore because you can't let her come off of any screens clean. So when they came to our second unit coverage, they were just dropped all the time. And I had free threes. I had the best screeners in the business. It was like a kid in a candy store playing for Minnesota because it's pick your poison time. And and they had to pick Maya Moore. They had to pick Simone. I'm not the poison that they're picking. So, I mean, I don't necessarily know if it was disrespectful or it was just like trying to survive. You can't play that high hedge up on almost a trap defense for the whole game. And so for me, they had to just chill out, and I was loving it.
Wouldn't you be the poison they picked? Because it's like all the different poison. No, because
if you got Maya Moore poison and Simone Augustus poison, you gonna pick that to try to contain.
No,
that
as a defense, I don't want to pick that poison because that poison's gonna kill me.
He's trying to insult you by saying they have to defend
the least
you.
Poison.
They have to defend you that way because the other poisons are more lethal. That's what he's saying.
My fault, Renee.
You gotta say it with your chest, then. I didn't even know what he was trying to say. He was dancing around it so softly that I didn't even know what he was saying. So let me just say, I'm that poison you gotta pick, because when you got two Olympians that could dump it on your head at any time, I'd pick me too. I mean, that's what I said. That's fine with me. I'll pick me too on that case.
Did you guys get it wrong? I get them wrong all the time in player evaluation. I took Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. But did you guys know that Trey, like if I had come to you when he was playing at Oklahoma and said, what is this going to be? Mm-hmm. You would have said what to me?
You answer that first. I want to hear what you got to say on me.
So when I watched him at Oklahoma, I thought he played on a bad team, and that made defenses so easy to key in on him. And I felt like in all the conversations I had with people is that when he gets to the league where you can't disrespect his teammates so willingly, he's going to have more space and he's going to be a much better player. But going into that draft, I had and still have Luka Doncic as far and away. He's the best prospect I've ever seen other than LeBron James going into a draft. And I had, I think, Jaren Jackson Jr. higher, and I had Ayton higher. Those are like my top three in that order. And so I'm shocked that he's been able to be this good this quickly. I thought it would take him a little bit of time because he's not big and he's not particularly fast. But he's really skilled and he's really wily, and obviously the shooting speaks for itself. And he's obviously progressed a lot faster than I thought he would.
Yeah, I'm just going to be honest, like college sports, I'm more of a pro sports type of person. So college sports I watch on a very limited basis, like so that I know the players, know what their skills, their strengths and weaknesses are. So I really don't watch a lot of college hoops other than that. Having said that, once I saw him his first year in the league, I think that everyone knew that he could be electric. I don't think that there was any surprise that he could be electric, but the way that he's carrying a team, people even last year didn't think he could do what he did this year. So I think it's been a maturation process to the scouts' defense that who would have thought that Trae Young could just carry a whole team like this? Even the defensive, they try to trap him at half court. They try to put big defenders on him. Everything that you think would work on a small player does not work on Trae Young. That's what you can't determine. It's kind of like Steph Curry. Nobody could have predicted that coming out, even though we saw his shooting ability at Davidson. We saw it, but can you predict that he can do that on this level? This is different. Like people tell me all the time, hey, did you see that girl playing in NCAA? And she probably could start on a WNBA team now. And I'm like, why do people think that it translates directly pro to college? It just really doesn't. You have to see. First of all, you got to be built for it because it's not easy. So there's so many things that I don't care what you did in college. I got to see it in the pros style.
I've been remiss not asking you before now. The stuff at ESPN, the Game of Thrones, all of the things that were happening there, the racial stuff, the gender stuff, the soap opera stuff, so many things in that New York Times article. Your thoughts were what as that exploded?
My thoughts were I was glad it happened. I'm sad it happened at people's, expense. But I'm glad it happened because the conversation needed to happen that why is there one seat available? I've seen it in sports. I'm in the sports industry. I'm in the analyst. So I'm in one of the seats. I see what the seats look like when it comes to covering just pro sports, especially the NBA or NFL, any of the pro sports. And so I was happy to see that the conversation came up. And when you have a white male bringing that topic up, well, why is there only one seat for the minorities, for the women, for everybody has to fight over this one seat? Yeah, let's talk about it. Why is there one seat? Why aren't there multiple seats at the table? Because if the response is, oh, well, the guys know the game better. Some of those guys sitting in those seats have not played at a higher level than women that are trying to play. And yes, it's two different sports, NBA and WNBA, but it's almost that you value a guy that played maybe in high school over a professional athlete that played in the WNBA. How does that make sense? Or value, the value is different when it comes to women. So I was just happy the conversation came up because now ESPN has to think about it. They have to talk about it. They have to internalize it because it's right here for everybody. It's on the New York Times. We all see it. So what are y'all going to do about it?
You love the business of sports. Maria Taylor's contract is coming up during these finals.
Cash out, Maria! You better cash out, Maria! Come on now. The timing couldn't be better. Look, I love to see it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please. Your enthusiasm on this is something that I do want to capture. It's because the pandemic has made it that her contract is coming up during the finals. And I am so curious, and I wish one of these sports media people would report on what is being offered to her just to kick it down the road 15 days. What specifically is being offered to her so they don't have to deal with the idea of there might not be enough money to keep her here, and she's going to embarrass us by doing what during the finals? We can't replace her with Rachel Nichols. We're going to get a man to replace her. Like, what are we going to do during the finals? She's got such a big leverage move here.
Yeah. So
oh my gosh.
That's the question is for Maria. What's the number, right? What is, like, if they said, here's $1 million for just get us through the end of the month. $1 million.
No, the answer's no.
The answer's still no.
It's got to be no because you can't let them kick it down the road. You got to make them pay her now to not embarrass them. To not embarrass them.
The whole. You're saying the whole deal.
Maria has stayed very politically correct. Like to this point, like she said the right thing. She's done the right things. But we all know that Maria got one in the clip. Like if Maria wants to blow the thing up and blow the place up, Maria could easily do that. There are people waiting on Maria to blow the thing up. ESPN has not seen it blow up like it could have because Maria, how she's handled it. It's not even how ESPN has handled it because the apology that happened on the jump, I was just reading the tweets and people were not feeling that apology was up to par. So Maria has, to Dan's point, every single bit of leverage. That's why I said she needs to carry 5 bags on whatever day it is that they got the contract. It's not kicking it down the road. She needs to bring a suitcase. They need to bring the Brinks truck because she already had to have that pause because of the pandemic and she handled it well. She was professional. She didn't throw a fuss. I'm telling you what, Maria, get to the bag. And that's my homie. So get to the bag, Maria. You got all the leverage. And here's the thing. She deserves it. Like that's it's not like put it to them because of she's killing it. As you watch her do the playoffs, it's like she just talks like she's talking to us. She's so good. She knows all her stats. Get the bag, Maria. That's just how I feel about the whole thing. And Malika too.
I love playing this game. So if they said $2 million to get us through the finals.
Ooh.
It's being reported that she's turning down $5 million a year.
I'm not saying her contract. I'm just saying.
I'm saying she's got the move now. If what was leaked to the New York Post that she wants Stephen A. money, to me that's the ask now.
It's $8 million. Are we talking $8 million, right? Or is that what we're around?
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Because of the amount of leverage, and people will be upset about that, and they'll say, well, wait a minute, Stephen A. worked 20 more years. She just got here. But, man, that would look like a lot like equality if the ask right now, because she's got all the leverage, is, okay, you wanted to paint me? You wanted to paint me that way in the New York Post. Like, can you believe this woman would ask for this much? Okay, now I'm asking for it.
That doesn't preclude her from asking for that in a month. I'm just saying right now, just to get us out of this hot water.
No, but the reason she's not going to get it in a month.
You're saying that this is all the leverage is right here.
The leverage is on embarrassing them. If she walks out during the finals, walks out after silence during the finals and lets that sit there, she's not going to get that money otherwise. They will not give it to her.
Okay, and to answer your question, I would just say, this is what I would tell them if I was her. I would be like, all right, that $5 million that you offered, put that in my bank, and then we'll discuss my extension. That's where I would find, like, all right, so y'all are offering me $5 million right now. That'll get me through the finals, and then we'll discuss my contract extension, because then we know they're not going to do that. Like, they're not going to give you the $5 million just to get through the finals, and so then let's talk about my contract right now then. Obviously, it has to be more than $5 million. I mean, she has there are people that will gladly stop watching the NBA finals to prove a point. There's already people talking about they don't want to watch the Olympics to prove a point for Sha'Carri. So I don't think it's far-fetched in a Suns-Bucks finals that people would be like, you know what, let's prove a point. Let's just tap out.
My guess is ESPN has probably taken the opportunity to kind of make sure Maria is happy without setting the precedent of giving her Stephen A. money. So you might have Disney get involved, and you may never actually know what she is getting to stick through the NBA Finals, because what she's getting might actually get her on the whole on that Stephen A. salary. But what will be reported is that she's under, and you don't have to worry about precedent in future negotiations.
And
with
the
other
Good
talent.
Morning America stuff, right? They can make her a transcendent media
They
star.
move stuff around and have ABC take part of the pot. They've done that previously.
And I was going to say another thing is, if I was Maria, I know that a lot of people, when they offer you more money, they want to offer other jobs that you're going to have to do too. Maria should make sure they know, look, everything that I'm doing right now is what I'm doing for that price tag, because I just know companies love to get you under the fold, and then you have 6 more jobs for that money. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Is it averaging out the same way now? I'm a very particular about scope of work and how much you're paying me for that scope of work. So she needs to make sure that whatever they're writing up, that it doesn't come along with you're doing X, Y, Z to earn that extra money. No, this is the money that I've earned doing exactly what I'm doing right now. If you want me to do other jobs, add another comma like that. I mean, she has all the leverage. Just she needs to milk it, and it's not even milking it, because look what's happened to her in a short span. First, it was her clothes. People talking about the way she dresses. It's not professional. It's something of the other. Now she's a woman and she's asking too much. This happened during the pandemic. You're not Stephen A. How could you ask for Stephen A. money? Now this, where she's getting drugged through the mud, and it's not from her doing, it's another coworker that feels some type of way about the culture being built at ESPN. Yeah, Maria's been through a lot. So for people to say, oh, Stephen A's been there longer, Maria Taylor has been through a lot, and she deserves. That's just how I feel.
Before we get you out of here, just last question. You mentioned the apology on the jump. Run me through the racial and gender dynamics of putting Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson in a situation where they are the first voices for the company after the apology, defending a white woman, and how that lands with black women.
You know, it's tough because when you work with somebody every day, look, I have white co-hosts that I work with all the time, you know, and so you get to know them on a personal level. So on a personal level, I'm sure that Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson, you know, they like her and support her on a personal level. But I think that ESPN, that was an easy way for ESPN to basically say, okay, look, the colleagues and everything is as normal. They tried to make it be like, all right, business is as normal. Here's our apology. We support her. Let's just continue with the show. I don't want to be a distraction, so let's go right into the NBA Finals. It doesn't work that way. You know, there has to be work done. There has to be something from the top that says what's going on. We want to hear something from somebody other than her other co-hosts that I'm sure like her. I don't think there was a lie. I don't think that anything they said was wrong. You know, I think that that's just not a position. It's not their job to clean up a mess they didn't create. That's how I feel about it. I think that a lot of this is a mess that people didn't create, and now you're having those people have to clean it up. And it's not Kendrick Perkins, it's not Richard Jefferson, and it's definitely not Maria Taylor's job to clean up this mess that's created. It's ESPN's job and the people that created the mess. So I think that ESPN, again, they get the bag, Maria. Like this, get the bag. That's all I gotta say. Get it. Get right.
Not traditional what we're doing here with the post game, but always eager to catch up with our friend Adam McKay. He's got a big movie coming out soon. I don't know how soon. How soon is your climate change movie coming out? A comedy? It's sort of a comedy, kind of with you. The last few years, you tackle difficult subject matter and can be hard to classify.
Yeah, it's called Don't Look Up. It's coming out on Netflix, and they haven't done an official release date yet, but it looks like it's going to be like December, probably late December-ish. I'm editing right now. It's about a comet's going to hit Earth, and it's Leonardo DiCaprio, Jen Lawrence, 2 mid-level astronomers who have to go on a media tour to warn the world.
Aren't you genuinely and seriously not laughing, worried about fires in your state and the ocean catching fire and hurricanes coming closer to, Florida earlier than they ever have? Like it's not something that makes you laugh at it in real life.
I mean, it's, my friends and I, when we talk about it, it's so over the top bad that we end up laughing about it because it's so off the rails. They just had that heat wave up in the Northwest, 120 degrees in a town in Canada. And then a day later, the entire town burned down. They had fires up there that had their own atmospheres going on with lightning strikes. That some of these fires are looking like they could become fire hurricanes. That's actually what they're talking about now. So, yeah, it is absolutely terrifying. And then to see our media and our leaders act like we're talking about like a niche issue, like, save the whales, which is very important, but isn't about the future of life on the planet. It's the disconnect on it is just absolutely bonkers.
How much moral vert does it have to be, honestly, Adam, in order to get the attention of leaders in a way that I don't know if science says we can reverse the course, but how much moral vert would it have to be? What would the calamity have to be?
I had a conversation about this the other day. I mean, the crazy thing is we do have technologies that are pretty amazing. Like carbon capture is in serious development. They just built a plant in Scotland that's the equivalent of 40 million trees. Like there actually are things we can do, but we keep talking about what's that moment where everyone wakes up. And I don't know, man, because like Australia, the entire country caught fire. And, the Murdoch media empire down there kept putting out stories that it was about arsonists. And you just saw what you just saw here, which is a heat wave they say is like once every 5,000 years, and that it's completely off the charts. And that's still, you look at the Washington Post, the New York Times, that wasn't the headline. Like I keep looking at like those types of papers, like what are they doing? I think it's going to be like 4 or 5 Category 5 storms in the Caribbean. The entire West is on fire. Chunks of Europe on fire, Australia on fire, all at the same time, basically, I think could do it. But then you'll still have large portions of the population that will deny it. I mean, look what just happened with the pandemic, where there's people that were actually sick and dying in hospitals and telling the nurses, I can't have coronavirus. It's not real. So it's crazy. And you're seeing it like it's fascinating to see it affect the sports world because, the sports world doesn't like to talk about major issues or politics or race or any of these types of things, but it's undeniably barreling towards sports.
150 degrees, right? They had to postpone. It was on the track and field, it was 148 degrees, and they had to move it back to nighttime. But sports is pretty small, given the stuff we're talking about, given that the ocean was on fire. Adam, I didn't even think that was a thing that could happen.
Yeah, there was an oil pipeline burst from Pemex, and there's a giant fiery pit, and the name Cthulhu from H.P. Lovecraft was actually trending on Twitter. My friend, our composer on our movie, Nick Bertel, and I just kept looking at our phones saying Cthulhu is trending on Twitter. It was, it's incredibly bizarre. And you're right. No, sports is obviously a tiny, tiny thing, but it's a major thing for billions of people. That's the only reason it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I don't know how, like the governor of California, Newsom, who, some people would say, oh, he's a left winger. No, totally courts the oil industry, pays it lip service. You look at the infrastructure bill they just passed, they stripped out all the stuff dealing with the climate crisis and just acted like it was some part of the deal. The U.S. has the only political party in the world, the Republican Party, that denies climate change, the only one in the entire world. So it's it's absolutely batshit crazy. It sucks too. People are stressed after the pandemic. People are stressed. The economy's screwed up. People don't make living wages. There's debt. Like, the last thing people want to hear is this, but the silence is bizarre.
You are responsible for a generation of comedy, and you have just come on our show here at the end, and a show that you like. And what you have just spoken is so dark and apocalyptic that even my grief-eating tastes are terrified of it, terrified of everything you're saying.
Can you do this? Can I talk about it? There's got to be a way we could talk about this without it being like people just turn the channel. Can you play like some fun music behind me when I talk about it, or can you?
Yes. All right. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. All right. Well, Meadowlark Media is having some trouble securing the kind of music rights that you have in your stuff that you do at the height of entertainment. So let's get the appropriate apocalyptic music that we have access to, which is apparently from the Roaring '20s.
So and I'll say it in a fun way too. Man, how about I do it like Jerry Seinfeld? Would that help?
However you want to do it.
Hey, what's the deal with the atmosphere? Have you noticed the parts per million of CO2 were 280 back in the late 19th century, and now they're 420? I hate to break it to you folks, that's not just small science. That's like putting 5 teaspoons of sugar into your bread mix and your cake mix, and then you see how it tastes. If we keep doing this, we're going to literally cook to death. Hey, do you know what it's like to live 100 feet under the earth, drinking water that tastes like dirt while raging fires incinerate the memories of your entire life? Folks, come on. I don't know how to talk about it. That's kind of what our movie's about. Don't Look Up is like, how do you talk about this? How do you talk about these kind of huge things? But you're right. Like, I made Step Brothers, and yet I just talked about fire hurricanes and 5 Cat 5 hurricanes in the Caribbean.
All right, Adam. Good talking to you. Thank you.
I apologize.
I asked you.
How about those Suns, man?
The ones barreling toward us? The ones that we're going to be doing track and field on in about 12 years?
No, Dan. The Phoenix Suns.
Oh, my bad.
I don't mean the death ball star that, because of our lack of atmosphere, it's going to literally bake us into the ground, destroying all life on the planet. I mean Chris Paul.